Well, it is a weekend that promises to grapple with, interrogate and illuminate the stories of Black lives. Well, that's the Abantu Book Festival weekend, which kicks off this Thursday, featuring panel discussions, in conversations, poetry, hands-on writing workshops, children's activities, film screenings, as well as music. Now, actor, writer and performance poet Lebo Mashile will facilitate those discussions at the second edition of the festival, and she joins us now to tell us more about the event. Lebo, a very good morning and welcome to Morning Live.
How are you?
I'm so sorry to have woken you so up, but it's going to be worth it.
It's going to be worth it.
At the end of this interview.
Definitely.
Now, I suppose, Lebo, we have to start at a point of reflection and looking back at last year's festival.
Yes.
And what stand out for you?
Abantu is extraordinary. It's singular in the experience that it offers for literature lovers in this country. For years, we've been told that there is no black book buying audience, that there are no black book lovers, that black people don't read. This festival, and I mean, I've performed at festivals in more than 20 countries around the world. I have never been to a literature festival where from morning to night, events are standing room only. Ooh. Right in Soweto. People came from all over Gauteng, brought their children to Soweto to come and experience literature. It was like seeing the community that you've always known existed, the people that you have always imagined, but there we are, all in one place. It was extraordinary. I mean, as an intellectual experience, as a political experience, as a spiritual experience, it was singular. I've never experienced anything like that in my life.
What do you think sparked that kind of interest?
There was a build-up. I mean, I think the literary landscape certainly is changing, and it's not separate to what everything else that's happening politically in the country. So Roads Must Fall kicked off a conversation about decolonization, which kicked off a conversation about decolonizing literature. And the festival spaces in South Africa. Thando Mngolozana stood up at Franschhoek Festival, I think 2 years ago, and said that he's not willing to participate in these kind of activities anymore. He's not willing to be a kind of token black in a white space, you know, to serve a purpose, to make people feel like they're being inclusive when they're actually not. Sure. And that kind of snowballed into a conversation about, okay, what kind of spaces do we want to share literature in? And he initiated, this is his brainchild, but certainly, I mean, the response to it shows that there's a need, that people have been waiting for this.
Gosh,
I mean, to see children there, to see elderly people there, to see writers, artists, you know, all kinds of people from all kinds of professional backgrounds willing to take on heavy issues that are happening in this country right now, you know, through a vehicle like art, like literature. It shows that we care, we are intellectual, we are very well informed, we are switched on, we are engaged, and that this is a community that people have deliberately ignored this community.
Let's talk specifically about the discussion that we'll be facilitating. What issues will come under the spotlight?
So I've got two jobs. I'm going to host the opening night, which is a very special evening. Mthunzikazi Mbungwana is going to be performing, fantastic poet from the Eastern Cape. And the keynote address this year is being delivered by Tsitsi Dangaremba, who filmmaker and author of Nervous Conditions. So on the heels of what has just happened in Zimbabwe, to have a Zimbabwean author who, I think for many people, myself included, Nervous Conditions is one of those books that's life-changing, you know, in terms of my own formation, my understanding of my identity as an African, as an African living in a post-colonial environment, as a feminist, as a black woman, you know, all of these intersections she interrogates in this piece. And it came into my life at a time when I was asking myself those questions, and it made me feel more human. It made me feel like I'm sane, you know. So, and I mean, that's the experience of so many different people who've interacted with her work. She's also a very important filmmaker. She curates a fantastic festival in Zimbabwe. She's one of the most smartest and strongest women that I've ever encountered. So to have her doing the keynote in this moment in time is going to be very powerful. The other discussion that I'm facilitating is with Matsilo Mutsei, the author of The Kanga and the Kangaroo Court, so which celebrates its 10th year, 10-year anniversary now. And of course, Redi Tlhabi has published a very powerful powerful book about Kwezi. So revisiting Kwezi.
I'm actually in the middle of reading that book.
Hey,
so
yeah.
quite a riveting read. Now,
Completely.
what do you hope will come out of your conversation with her?
You know, Matilo, when she wrote this book, the backlash that she received was horrific, you know. Funding for her projects were cut. She was blacklisted. She literally had to move out of Gauteng and reinvent herself and reorientate to herself as to how she's going to survive, you know, for writing a book in a country that presumably has free speech, you know, for questioning why we find ourselves in a situation of such like catastrophic misogyny in South Africa, you know, and with our leaders, you know. So, I mean, 10 years later, to see Redi having written such a powerful book herself and seeing the groundswell of support that she's receiving for this story now, something has shifted in history, you know, for us to arrive at this point, you know. And I think it's important for us to examine what has happened in the last 10 years and also to appreciate the contribution of Black feminist activists like Matilo, because for us to arrive at this point now where we can question, you know, Kwezi, where we can question how our leaders have brought us to this situation that we're in now, you know, it's because of the groundwork that was done by people like Matilo, by the women of 1 in 9, when it wasn't fashionable.
I definitely need the whole hour with you,
Please.
Lebo. There's plenty to talk about, but then thanks for coming through.
It's a pleasure. I'm busy sweating in your studio. Asking to the people at home. I have to run here. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you so much for your insights. We really appreciate it.
Much appreciation.
That was actor, writer, and performance poet Lebo Mashile, who will be facilitating discussions at the second Abantu Book Festival, which kicks off at the Soweto Theatre and the AA2 Lifestyle Centre from the 7th to the 10th of December 2017. This is an absolute must-see. All right, let's take a short break now.